Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you all for being here tonight. Though this was not a destination wedding for the bride and groom, it was for the remaining 99% of us. I'm gonna go a little off script here, and I'd also like to thank the whole team that was here last night, super late. I mean, all the flowers and everything just turned out beautiful. So thank you, family and friends that were here. Jake and Kika are so blessed to have all of this love and support. Y'all are truly, truly amazing. I think most of you here probably know who I am, but in case some of you don't know, my name is Eddie, and I am the bride's big sister. At the young age of 14 months, my dreams of being an only child were shattered. The tiny human my parents brought back home from the hospital was a terror. She would write my name on the walls in crayon so I'd be the one to get in trouble. I'm not kidding. When I found out I was gonna have another sister, I cried tears of sorrow and dread because I genuinely thought one sister was more than enough. It wasn't until middle school that Kika and I somehow made the switch from arch nemesis to best friends. With us being so close in age, half the time people thought we were twins, but the small age gap didn't seem to faze Kika because for years she looked up to me. My parents always knew this and would of course insist that I be a good example for her. I was in denial because this meant more responsibility on my part, plus we were only 14 months apart. When I graduated high school, Kika looked me dead in the eye and said, "You better pick a good school, because wherever you go, I'll go." She was not kidding. So off to Southern we went, and 1 year later, so did she. She later confessed that she chose nursing because I had picked the medical field, but she didn't want to be in school as long as doctors, so she picked nursing. I think that's when it finally hit me that she really did follow in my footsteps. I think I was in denial because I'm a hot mess. Maybe she saw strength in my defensive, argumentative ways, but I saw strength in her softness and her ability and her ability to get an angry person to laugh in seconds. When we were younger, Kika and Emily would fight and yell for who knows what. And mid-yelling session, Kika would just start yelling, "I love you!" Emily would continue to yell angrily and Kika would insist, "I love you! I love you! I love you!" until Emily couldn't get another word in and they'd both start laughing and hug it out. She might have thought my stubbornness was cool, but I was in awe of her forgiveness. When I was mad, it could last days. All Kika needed was a quick nap, and all was forgiven. She looked up to my career choices and study habits, but now I'm the one calling her for medical advice and prescriptions. She admired my independence, but I was blown away by her consideration for others. I'll never forget one of the only times our parents let us spend the night at a friend's house. I packed my bag so quick and couldn't get out of the house fast enough. Kika, or Erica, I'm sorry, I call her Kika, decided not to go because my dad was out of town and she didn't want my mom to sleep alone. We must have been like 10. What 10-year-old even thinks like that? I didn't look back and had a blast with my friends while my younger sister looked out for my mom. While she looked up to me, why she looked up to me is beyond me, because the entire time I was looking up to her. Sorry. In psychology, okay, 1 second. In psychology class at Southern, I remember learning that the best people to marry are middle children. Oldest children tend to be stubborn and bossy, and the babies tend to be wild and hard to reel into reality. I remember sitting in class thinking, well, this just makes perfect sense. Anyone would be lucky to marry Kika. Jake, you are so lucky. My sister has been my better half for my entire life, and truly I'd be lost without her. I'm shaking. I know she likes to pretend like she's a strong, independent Mexican woman, and she is, but thank you for being someone she can lean on when life gets crazy, or when she needs to put some air in the tires. I don't know if you know this, but I never liked a guy she introduced to me as her boyfriend or love interest. Never. I was an overly protective big sister. They're laughing because they know it's true. I was always an overly protective big sister, and basically no one would ever be good enough. See, God knew how much I hated any guy my sister introduced to me, so God found a loophole and decided he would introduce you to me so she would never have to. Before you even thought of dating my sister, I already loved you like a brother. We were an odd little group. 3 sarcastic Mexicans from Texas. Vero, where you at? 1 sarcastic wannabe Mexican from California. That's Cody. And poor old Jake, awkward giant white dude from Pennsylvania. I don't know why you continue to hang out with us despite Vero and Kika forcing you to yell out, "I love you" in the library in order to give you your backpack back. You hated it. You were so uncomfortable with those 3 little words that it later became all of our life mission to get you to tell us you loved us. All the time. You were no longer allowed to hang up the phone without saying "I love you." No exceptions. Of course, that got to be interesting when you and Kika actually started dating. We just didn't see that one coming. I always tell Jake it's a blessing and a curse that we became friends before he started dating my sister. On the one hand, I don't hate him. But on the other, we fight like actual siblings. But no matter how much we fight and disagree, I'll never let you hang up the phone or leave without the "I love you" I used to have to force out of you. I'm almost done, I promise. I know y'all sometimes think I'm some sort of award-winning marriage counselor, and there's some real irony and humor in that. But anyways, I will give you my best piece of life advice that I've learned, and that goes to the both of you. Always put God first. And speaking of God, Genesis 2:24 talks about how when you marry, you must part from your mother and father and cleave onto your spouse. And I'd like to highlight that it never mentions parting from your siblings. So Jake, you're stuck with me forever. I love you guys.